Hello, good morning. It's just gone 8 AM on Sunday, the 19th of March. It's the spring equinox tomorrow. Meteorological and astronomical spring starts. To celebrate that and the nice weather today, I'm in shorts for the first time this year. The sun is really bright and I'm squinting. You may tell from the thumbnail, I'm out to recce some old Roman temples today. Just to be very clear at the beginning, they don't exist anymore. It's the site of where they were 2,000 years ago. I mean, if they were still standing, they'd probably be bigger tourist attractions than Stonehenge. I'm guessing most people won't even have heard of them. I didn't realise they were there until a few weeks ago. In fact, I rode past one last year without even knowing it was there. That's the main purpose of the ride in this video, to actually do a stealthy survey really, to see if there's any potential for wild camping up there. A couple of videos back down there, when I recently camped at Stockhill, I traced the original course, the straight line of an old Roman road, as a modern road eased the gradient and sort of S-bended around it. And I said then, I just like the idea of camping up there and sort of trying to imagine what it was like 2,000 years ago. So that's the idea of this sort of stealth survey really, is to see if there's any potential for some wild camps up there later in the year or possibly next year. I also hope to visit a couple of country and parish churches if I've got time. So if I do include that in this video, then I'll also share this great app that I discovered recently, which sort of aids you with finding them and locating them. I've just left my house about 20 minutes ago and I've come in from that direction along the Two Tunnels Greenway, which runs along the course of the former Somerset and Dorset Railway. I've left it at Midford Station. You may see halfway along that hill behind me, there's a very defined tree line. That's the course as it carries on to Wellow. You can cycle that as well. At the moment, I'm riding up this big hill, so I came out early to try and beat the traffic, and then I'll be getting on some minor roads. I'll talk to you much further south of Warminster. It's now 10:15. And I'm just stopped on the village green in the village of Sutton Veny, just south of Warminster in the Wylye Valley, as the road would head on down towards Salisbury. But I'm taking a right hand turn here. I'm going to start following underneath a ridge of hills where one of the Roman roads I've ridden recently ran, and that's where the first of the Roman temples was, up there. When I rode that road last year, I must have ridden by it and I wasn't aware it was there. So it's a part of the road I really want to revisit at some time, and I'm going to try and go up there if I can without trespassing, try and camp near the site of that Roman fort. So that's what today's about really, just to look at it from a distance and see if it's feasible, look at some more access roads. I'll explain why I'm not going up there now by showing you the map actually, which should make it clearer. So the first of the day's Roman temples is here. You can see I've highlighted it in green, and it's actually on the course, I believe, of Margary's 45B, which ran from Old Sarum that way, just on the outskirts of Salisbury, up to the Roman lead mines at Chartres on Westmender up there. You can see a lot of the road is well known. It's even utilised for modern day use along here. It's been deviated in certain places. OS map even follows the course of it, and then even the experts can't agree on bits of it, especially this section here. And when I rode Margary's 45B last year, I'll put a link up in top of the right hand corner now if you want to watch that video. But I got horribly lost around here. I think I was trying to be too strict with my retrace, and you can see if I wanted to get up there today I'd have to go up that track, and it's fantastic up there. I want to go back, but not on this bicycle, not on narrow 700C wheels. So I'm going to be riding along there, looking back up. I'll put a screenshot up about the temple shortly, but it's referred to as Cold Harbour Roman Temple. Well, Cold Harbour is this area up here. You can see it's clearly near what's called Brimsdown Hill. So if you look this one up, it'll be referenced as Cold Harbour. So I'm going to check out that church there, hopefully. That's the road I took before when I was tracing Margary's 45B. I got horribly lost in these woods here. I made a rod for me own back. I was really trying to stay as straight as possible, and in the end I just couldn't. I had to sort of come out, lost about an hour there, hit the road there. And the same later in the afternoon, as it's starting to get windy and it looked like there's rain in the air. I was trying to stick to the old Roman road too strictly, and I just got horribly lost in these woods, and I must have lost about an hour and a half there. That's when the rain was almost imminent. Instead of, I should have just gone around there and rejoined it there. So a lesson learnt there, don't try and be too precise. It does look, doesn't it, like there's a footpath up there. Believe me, with a fully laden bike for camping overnight, you don't want to be doing that, not when there's a bit of time pressure. So that's what I want to do, really, hopefully do a wild camp up there, because the views up there was spectacular, and I do want to go back there and have probably a less stressful experience. So I've come in from Warminster that way, and you can see there's a few roads going off. I'm going to take that one down there towards Maiden Bradley, and we'll be running along the foot of that ridge. We'll be running along this road here. I've started my road to Maiden Bradley, so I came down from Warminster that way to Sutton Veeney, where that van is, and I've done a very sharp turn along here. You can see, hopefully without too much glare from the sun, that high ground up there, that's where the Roman road's running along from Salisbury, and it goes all the way over there. This road, and many of the roads around here I'm going to be riding, are on the low ground. They're following the river valleys, but the Romans, as I've said so many times before, just didn't do that. They went straight over hills, and in that case they were going along. And believe me, when I rode that, or I tried to replicate a journey on it, some of the downs and some of the ups were just mind-blowing, basically. About a mile further on, cross the A350, and now you're starting to get a better idea of the geography. So that high ground up there is actually the Great Ridge, and the Roman road, Margery 45B, as it left Old Sarum, it crossed the River Wylye somewhere near Wilton, and then it clearly climbs up from Wilton up into Groverley Woods, and then it just stays on that high ground for miles and miles and miles. It's a fantastic road to cycle. And then the bit where I got, first of all, horribly lost, was coming along there. You need to drop down and then go back up. And when I dropped down, I find myself basically about knee to waist height in long grass, and then eventually stinging nettles. I came down into the back of a paddock which had clearly been deliberately let to overgrow, and I ended up about knee to waist high in stinging nettles. And luckily there was a footpath sign which had been blown over in the wind, and I tend to sort of use that almost as a rake or a scythe really to break me a way through. Now I had to decant the panniers off the bike, lift it over a stile, go back, get the panniers, you get the idea. Really stung. I crossed the minor road, then there was a monumental climb up the other side, and that's where the Roman temple is up there. I won't be going up there today, as I said, my road bike is just not suitable for that, but I just want to try and suss out a few different options to get up there. And also, if I did come down here, where my food stops would be. Having crossed the A350, I'm now at Brixton Deverill, so you can see, I think that's the course of Margery's 45B coming up there on the Great Ridge, which is up along there, that high ground. It drops down, across this river valley. As I said, it is almost roller coaster, a steep down and a steep up. Now I could, for my camping trip, go up this track there and get onto the high ground that way. So that's a possibility for the camping trip. You can see there's a high ground up there. That's where I'll be getting to eventually. That's where the temple is up there. Back there about a mile or so, as I crossed the main road, there was a garage, so clearly I could get supplies there. That's the church I want to go and have a look at. We'll be riding along here towards Maiden Bradley, and then I'll be looking up at that ridge. You know, I'm still in Brixton Deverill, and you can see we're just crossing the River Wylye here. It's a lovely chalk stream. Along a bit further you may see that's the track I was looking at earlier on. It could even have been the course of the Roman road. As I said, even the experts aren't sure around here. I know this is not very professional, but sometimes one of the things I do when I'm unsure is I just get a Perspex ruler, you know, a 99p job from Poundland, and just put it down and just try to work out what is the straightest route from a known bit of Roman road to that. It's never going to be exactly straight, because although they didn't really curve, they did change angles every now and again. Having just passed through Brixton Devil, I'm pretty sure that is the way I did come down. It may not look very steep off there, but believe me, it is. And there's the track I took up there. Look how steep it is. I'll try and zoom in to give you an idea. That was seriously steep up there. So as I was pointing out on the map earlier on, I'm now running along the left-hand southern flank of those hills, and that's clearly where I want to camp up there. The reason I really want to camp up there is because I totally missed or was unaware of the site of the old Roman temple before. Now I remember it's spectacular up there, but I was having problems with navigation, and I knew I was chasing some incoming rain. In fact, I didn't succeed in the end. I ended up getting drenched before I bivvied that night. So I really want to get back up there and a little bit more relaxed without too much of a schedule. Just at the far side of Kingston Deverill, where that cyclist just come from, I've just overshot. I'm actually going to be going down that way to Maiden Bradley shortly, but I've come along here because I want to have a look at this church. Country and Parish Church. This should be St Mary the Virgin. I'll tell you why I know that in just a second. Yep, St Mary the Virgin. There's a nice looking porch there. I'm guessing the church is open because it is a Sunday, and according to that there was a service at 10 o'clock. I don't want to sort of interrupt anything like that, but I might just pop my head inside and have a look, and I'll tell you a little bit about this app I discovered recently. The sign out said there was a service at 10 o'clock this morning. It's now gone 11, so church is open but empty. Wow, this is nice. Wow, that's lovely old oak beams. Pipes of the organ. I've said it many times on my videos before, I love looking around country and parish churches, and I follow various people on Twitter and other social media platforms, you know, due to my interest in Roman roads and Roman remains in Britain. And I came across this app that's called Key Holder for Parish Churches. I've downloaded the free version. It works for both types of smartphones, iOS and Android, is it? There's two different versions. I've got the basic free version, and it gives you a map of England and Wales, and there's grey dots where there's every single church in the country. You can zoom into your chosen area, touch one of those dots, and it gives you the information. That's how I knew even before I came here what this church was. There are subscription options, weekly, monthly, yearly, I think, and you get a lot more information for that. The guy who runs and manages the app is also doing a photographic survey of all the churches he can get access to, and clearly he knows what he's looking for, so he's photographing things of interest. You've got to access that photo library, you've got to pay for the subscription, which I don't have, but they also colour code those dots. As I said, I've got the free version, it's only grey dots, but they have this colour coding. I'll put a graphic on the screen now. I found that pie chart fascinating, but also with the paid subscription, I believe, instead of having grey dots as I've got on the map, they will all be colour coded according to the different categories on that pie chart. There's lots of other stuff as well. There's a lot more information about the churches, but I may consider a subscription at some time. I'm going to use it a lot this summer and see whether it warrants me buying a subscription for it. I thought that app's worth sharing with people anyway. For people like me And I'm sure there's plenty of other people who like sort of mooching around country churches. There's just a potential wealth of information there. I'm pleased with just a free version. There's a notice board in the church porch that tells you about the Deverell's churches. So you'll notice as I was coming along that B road, following the valley, there's all these Deverell's. While I'm in the church porch, and there definitely be no danger of wind noise in there, give you a quick overview of what I've done. So I came down on all these minor roads, skirted through Warminster, took the Wiley Valley Road, minor road, part of the Wiltshire Cycleway down there alongside the River Wiley. When I got to Sutton Veeney, which would be about there off the map, did a sharp right hand turn along this B road, across the A350 at Longbridge Deverell, then got on this B road which runs down through the Deverells and at Brixton Deverell. That's where I believe Margary's 45B across the Roman Road, and that's where I'll be trying to get back up retrace when I do my wild camp out there. This is a temple. So I've continued along here, nice easy riding through Monkton Deverell, Kingston Deverell. I'm now at the bottom left hand corner of that square in the church, heading out, Maiden Bradley. This is another place where I got horribly lost on my 2-day bivvy trip, trying to retrace the journey on Margary's 45B. I was fairly confident I could find my way up over Gare Hill there and stay faithful to the Roman road as much as possible. Well, I didn't. In a nutshell, I got horribly lost, wandering around in circles. When I came out, it was early evening, coming on to rain, and I literally just had to use minor roads to get back on course. And I eventually rejoined it there where I knew it's definitely rideable, because I needed to pick up supplies. The rain was getting really heavy there because I knew I wanted to camp up at the point where it crosses the Fossway. So today what I'm doing, I'm going down to my second Roman temple. So we're now leaving the vicinity of Margary's 45B and heading down here to Lamyat. And there was a Roman temple up there. That's another one I'd possibly like to camp at. And I'm going to revisit that church down there. That's gorgeous. I read that there was a Roman road which actually connected this temple to the Fossway, and they call it Pennard Hill. I never do. I always call that Pill Hill, P-Y-L-L-E. That's where I bivvied on my first night of riding the Fossway. Such a wonderful early spring day. I've said earlier on I was in shorts and just stood here in this church porch. I can feel the heat of the sun on my legs. That's so welcome after the last couple of weeks. Anyway, onwards. As I leave Kingston Deverell and follow this road along here, I think this gives you quite a good view of the landscape. That's a very steep climb up on those downs, and that's where Margary's 45B came along, dropped down, across the River Wiley, and now look at this. It's continuing along there. That really was superb up there. Look what I've just spotted. I saw there was a glider club signposted back there. I hope that's coming out on video. Well, it's pretty impressive. I bet that's good up there on a day like today. So that is the course of Margary's 45B up there somewhere, as it does its final stretch of high ground before it then drops down on the outskirts of Frome and then climbs once again up to Gare Hill. This is the road I'm riding along from Kingston Deverell, and that's the high ground up there, the Great Ridge presumably, before it then fizzles out. Then you get almost like these little offshoots. There's a couple of these weird looking hills like that. It's very distinctive. But look on the other side of the road, looking back north. That's where the Roman road came along. I remember that beacon up there, that upright beacon. That's pretty amazing up there, looking down at this view. So it's amazing to think 2,000 years ago people used to travel along a road up there. The modern day roads are much lower than this. They may occasionally go up and over the hills, but that was running all along the top of that hill, so that must have been so bleak in extreme weather. Then eventually it drops down to cross another valley on the outskirts of Frome before it then starts climbing up yet again on the high ground at Gare Hill. So this is fantastic, just running alongside it as I planned this morning. Can't wait to get back out there on a suitable bike with my tent and supplies, spend the night out there. I'm just crossing the main road at Bradley, the Froome to Stourhead road, so I've just come in from the left that way, joining this road just a few hundred yards, then I'll be turning left that way. But first of all, I wanted to show you this. I thought it was an old bus shelter, then I thought, oh, possibly it's one of those ones where they've converted it into a defibrillator, but it's a milk stall. Come here, fill up your bottles with local milk. Got all white farmhouse butters and products there, dairy products. We've even got a milkshake dispenser. How cool is that? Mini moves. And what really drew me over here was this. Clearly it's a map board. This sums up the last few miles perfectly. I've come in from this road, from Kingston Deverill, and I was looking over to my right, north, at the big high ground. That must be the course of Margary's 45B along there. And there's the Romano Celtic temple. So I'm coming along here. This is where the milk shed is. I'm going to go along there. Medieval village of Yarnfield there, the modern village, where it's a hamlet really. And you can see when I tried to follow Margary's 45B, I was maybe a little bit too ambitious by trying that up through there to Gare Hill and then rejoin it going that way. Well, as I said, I just got hopelessly lost in there. It looked like there was a signposted footpath on the OS map, but in practice it was lots of barbed wire, overgrown. I got completely disorientated, a little bit stressed out because the time was running against me. I've just come along this road. You can see that lump of the downs where I came along. That's the high ground. Crossed over the main road, the Froome to Stourhead Estate Road. Came along here. It's a bit of a junction here. I'm going to go along there and drop off this high escarpment by turning right and head down towards Bruton. So from Kingston Deverill, I came along here, looking up on my right at the high ground and the Roman temple. Came into Maiden Bradley there. Just joined this B road slightly, where it says in there. That's where that milk cabin was. And I'm now on this road heading round here. I'm heading down towards the outskirts of Bruton and then Lamiat. I'm going to be taking this B road up there, and then I'm going to investigate whether a wild camp might be possible there at some time. But you can clearly see, you know, my ruler method. The road probably would have come across here because that would have been its course. So you can see why I tried to make my way up through those woods there, but as I said, I got horribly lost. Sends shivers down my spine thinking about this. So we're now leaving Margary's 45B anyway and heading down in the direction of the Fossway. Although I've now left the course of Margary's 45B, it's pretty much doing the same thing. In fact, it's dropping off the edge of this steep escarpment down to lower ground. This road I'm taking does a modern variation of it. It curls around the edge of the hill, even though it's a bit hairy sometimes coming down here in the wet. I'm now a few miles further on. You can see all the woods up there and the very Gothic looking Alfred's Tower. It's a folly, built by a wealthy banker, I think, who had an interesting history. Interesting fact, in World War II, the American airplane crashed on top of that and they had to rebuild part of it after the war. Anyway, you can see the very high wooded ridge along there. Coming down there, I mean, it's pretty precipitous even on the tarmac road. I couldn't film it, but as you come down you sort of think, hang on a second, you almost go straight back up again. So I can show you in the distance. Then there's the big climb up onto the East Mendip Plateau, which then will cross the Fossway at its highest point, and then Margaret's 45B then carries on climbing. I'm not sure what the highest point on it is, but it carries on from East Mendip up onto the high ground of the West Mendip Limestone Plateau, where it eventually finishes. The more I explore Margaret's 45B, the more I think, my God, it just blows me away actually, the engineering and just the actual logistics of travelling that road actually. That noise in the background you can hear, there's some acrobatic aircraft up there doing loop-the-loops and things. I was just thinking this actually, we all pretty much know Roman roads ran straight, and you tend to sort of think, well, straight, flat, you know, must be easy. I mean, occasionally they change angle, but they don't really curve, unlike modern roads. And if you were to look on a map and sort of see a mountain pass, you know, in Scotland or sort of North Wales or somewhere, zigzagging up the hill, you think, gosh, that must be really steep and precipitous and difficult to cycle, dangerous to come down. I mean, almost counterintuitively, the opposite is the case. The Roman roads are actually much more difficult to navigate and ride. I mean, that's one of the things I've learned in the last couple of years. Cycling Roman roads are fun, but my gosh, they're really, really hard. Because, as I keep saying, they don't go around obstacles, ease the gradient, they just go straight over them. And this road's a perfect example. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. If you fancy a bit of an adventure, or you like a challenge, try riding this road. I think it is now my favourite Roman road I've ridden. I intend to ride, you know, several more, but yeah, this one I've, you know, very fond memories as well as painful memories of riding this one. Even these small little inclines are taking its toll on me today. I've got some sandwiches with me, but I think I'm going to need some extra energy, like a bit of chocolate, maybe a fizzy drink as well. That road back there where I spoke to you levelled out very briefly, and then it turned off in the same direction I've been heading, and it carried on climbing. I think this is now one of the summits. Looking down, wow, what a view. It's my road snaking off into the distance over there. That very distinctive little knoll with the... That's where I've come, crossed this crossroads, heading this way. I just wanted to check my map quickly. I really didn't want to risk overshooting where I think it might be. So that was the top of that hill I spoke to from, along that main road a bit. Then I spoke to again there where that black arrow is on the yellow road, plunged down here, cutting across here. And as I join that B road there, it'll be coming in from the left, but I'll be going right. I'll be running alongside the edge of the hill where the Roman temple is. Okay, I'm approaching my second site of a Roman temple, and that's it up there. But I'm just about to join this B road that runs right to left, and I'm going to be turning right and going down. You may see that line, that hedgerow down there. It's quite a steep drop down towards Evercreech. There's a co-op there, so I'm going to dive in there and get some extras for my lunch. Just all around that you can see there's like a raised plateau almost, and that's where the temple would be up there, because looking at the OS map it's a bit sort of obscure exactly where it is. I did a Google Maps aerial shot and I'll put that on the screen now. You can see from that Google Map aerial shot there is a farm up there, so I need to be careful I don't trespass on private property or farmland. But it looks maybe if I head along the edge I'll get some good views. Wow, you can just see Glastonbury Tor poking its head through the corner there. So that'd be quite a good place to try and camp up there. So I need to work out how to get to access up there. But from here, yeah, definitely looks possible. So I'm going to join this road, plunge down. I won't be able to film down there, it's probably going to be too dangerous. Halfway down, I'm going to turn right down a no-through road, and as far as it goes before it turns into a track, there's a church there I want to revisit. You can see the big round curve of the summit of that hill where the Roman temple would be, where I'm going to try and camp up there behind these trees. So you come down that steep hill, it's a B road, heading into Evercreech, then you turn a right hand turn down to Milton Clevedon here, and this is pretty much where the road ends and tarmac continues, And this, according to the app, is St James Church. I did come here last autumn, but I got here quite late in the afternoon. It was very dark inside. I couldn't find a light switch, and I also really wanted to get home before it got too dark. Plus I felt I had one more church I wanted to visit, so I thought I had to rush this, so I always wanted to come back here on a nice day. The outer door is open. Let's see. Yes. Oh, it's so much lighter today. I mean, it's dark, but it's very light compared to last year. As I said, late Saturday afternoon in autumn. You got the sun bathing in today. I tried all the light switches last time, none of them worked. No, I think there must be a master switch somewhere. Wow, it feels so cool and lovely in here. Lovely stained glass window. Gosh, I remember that plaque from last time. It says, "In loving memory of Wilfrid Clothier of Milton Farm." That must be that one right next door. 1918 until 1983. Good innings. And he was a church warden of this parish, 1950 to 1970. Wow. It's funny how some things stick in your memory. Oh gosh, I remember that very unusual, almost organic looking stained glass window. So warm out here. The spring sun and the heat just reflecting off this stone. There it is up there. Beyond that house you'll see the top of the hill. How cool will it be to camp up there if I can? I think what I might have to do is have a backup plan if I do circle that hill sort of mid-afternoon. Look for some access up there discreetly. If it does look like I may be trespassing or it would be unwise, you know, maybe pop down and find somewhere. As I said, I'm not averse to bivvying in a churchyard. I think as long as you show respect and don't desecrate. There's even seats around the back, I remember. It's a potential backup bivvy spot if I did come up here. Sort of discreetly behind here after dark. When I was camping, staying in a church overnight down at Langport last year, I put a few posts out on Facebook, and one of my friends, Gwen, came back and said, "Is it not spooky staying in a church?" And I sort of said, "No, not really, because they're places of celebration for me, and you know, they're associated with weddings. Yeah, of course they're associated with funerals and death as well, but I would say they're lovely, peaceful places. To say they don't really spook me. Having said that, that one last week over in Wales, you've had all those crows crowing after dark. That might be a different matter." Looking back up at that potential hillside stroke Roman temple. Back to the present. Anyway, I need to retrace back up that main road, turn right, drop down the hill to Evercreech and get some scoff, because from there back over the Radstock is quite arduous. There's some pretty brutal climbs actually over Maidstone Hill, and then you drop down Stoke St Michael, and then you climb up Holcombe Hill and then drop down into Radstock. After that it should get easier, because I'll join the course of the old Somerset and Dorset Railway there. That's looking back at the way I've just come. That big flat surface up there would be the top of the hill where the Roman temple would have been. I'm going to pick up some lunch at Evercreech from the co-op, hopefully if it's open, and find a little park there, hopefully get some shelter out the wind. Now I'll tell you a little bit more about what I read up about what they think was up there. Okay, I've dropped down to the lovely sleepy Somerset village of Evercreech, and I knew there was a co-op here, and luckily it was open today, so I've just bought myself a few extra calories to intake, because there's a big hill coming afterwards, and I knew this park was just along the next street, and so I've come along here. There's some children playing over there, plus the fact there used to be a shelter there, I think, but it's not there anymore. I'll come down to this little sun trap behind me. Okay, so it's map time again. So I came along this road here, that's where I joined the B road. Right on that summit you can see there's a big sort of circular area there, and it says Roman Celtic Temple, but that would be wonderful if I could find a spot up there to camp. So anyway, I dropped down the hill. Back there, I just went up that dead end to Manor Farm Church, back. Then I was going to take this road up here as I climb up over the East Mendips, but I just knew I needed some extra food. So I've come into Evercreech here. That's where the co-op was, at that second right hand turn, and I've just turned down here, so I'm going to go along there and then start my climb up over Maysdown. Now the big climbs are well known on the Mendips with motorcyclists, drivers, cyclists especially, Cheddar Gorge, Ebber Gorge, Burrington Combe. Not many people talk about this one. I would say that's equally as hard, very, very unforgiving. You climb up to Dalting, and there's some quarries up there with some pretty ferocious looking old saw blades at the entrance. And then I'll drop down Stoke St Michael, work my way to Holcombe, Kilmerston almost, drop down Hayden, Radstock, and then I'll get on the old Somerset and Dorset Railway, head back into Bath. I did say I'd mention a little bit of detail about the Roman Temple. As far as I know, I just grabbed some stuff off the internet recently. In fact, I believe archaeologists excavated it twice actually, once in the 1960s and again in the 1970s, and then it suggests there's nothing left up there now because what they unearthed, souvenir hunters went along and just took away, so there's no artefacts remaining on site. The important stuff was taken away by the specialist. So there's a couple of plans that I can put up on the screen now showing you the 60s excavation, and then the later 1970s excavation. It's thought by the archaeologists through their excavations that the temple up there would have been the square type. Again, screen grab of an artist's impression of what it could have looked like up there. And interestingly enough, I read actually that that was the same type of Roman temple that they think was out at Brean Down, right on that spit of land that heads out towards the Bristol Channel Islands. So it's thought, as well as the more recent artefacts up there, there was once a Roman temple up there and a Roman gold smelt as well. That's what I read. Meantime, I've had my sandwich and I'm snacking on chocolate chip cookies and a small can of Coke. I've just completed the long climb up from Evercreech over Maysdown Summit that way. Just happened to be crossing the East Somerset Railway and I heard a whistle, and there's this guy there with his son. Sort of said there's one in 5 minutes, so I stopped and saw that go underneath. That was really nice. And I'm joining this road now, which is going to drop down to Stoke St Michael, and then I'm going to head that way to Radstock. But I think this might be a good place to finish the film because is Margary's 45B just suddenly reappeared there, where that car is up there. Can you see it coming down from a really steep slope? And here we are, Margary's 45B again. And then Ruler Straight carries on up there, up and down a little bit, until it gets to Beacon Hill by the woods. That's where the Fossway crosses it at right angles. Well, it would be, wouldn't it? Because the Romans always did everything in straight lines. So you can see by the Sunday traffic and all the quarry traffic up here during the week, Roman Road is still a very, very busy road in use today. think this is a good place to finish the video actually. It's been a cracking day, the weather's been superb and it really does feel good to be in cotton cap, mitts, shorts and just feeling like spring is here at long last. I hope you've enjoyed coming along. Hope you'll join me for the next one. In the meantime, look out for each other everybody. Take care. See you soon.